Abba Yahuwah, we bless you today. We thank you for your son, Yahushua. We just want to choose you all again afresh and anew and want to show our love for you by keeping your commandments and love for the brethren. We ask that you open our eyes and behold wondrous things out of that Torah. Show us great and wonderful things, things we knew not that we might apply them to our life, that we might be better Talmud of Yahushua and better mentors one toward another. B'Shem Yahushua, Amen. All right, we have another good Torah portion, starting in Shemot, names, and we see that all the older generation is gone off the scene, but we'll see also that there are how many tribes? 12 tribes. There's not 11 tribes. There's not one tribe. There are 12 tribes, and so people try to make you think that there are one tribe. Everybody's joined Judah, but that can't be true. Why can't that be true? Doesn't follow the pattern because Yahweh always has what? Two or three witnesses. Let's go to Revelations 11 and 3. I think.
Revelations 11 and 3 says, "And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 score days, clothed in sackcloth."
And so that's why we know if the house of Ephraim tries to tell you that they replaced somebody, but they can't because it takes what? Two. We can see it again. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. Verse there, I think it's 16. Yeah.
"Moreover, son of man, take one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions, and take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions."
And so we see there are 12 tribes. There are two houses, the house of Judah and the house of, today they call it the house of Israel, but it was originally called the house of Joseph. Then it went to the house of Ephraim, but today it's called the house of Israel. And so there's always at least two. And so when they try to tell you that we're the only ones, you say, nah, that's not biblical. That's not sound doctrine. And so we need all 12 tribes to be what we call Kol Yisrael or One Yisrael or All Yisrael. And we see it in so many places. Let's go to James 1 and 1.
All right, James 1 and 1. "James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Master Yahushua the Messiah, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting."
So here's one of the apostles saying there are how many tribes? 12, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. In Ezekiel chapter 47 and verse 13, we see all 12 tribes there.
All right, Ezekiel 47 and 13. "Thus says the Master Yahweh, this shall be the border whereby you shall inherit the land, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have two portions."
And so we're trying to show you from the Old Testament and the New Testament, there are how many tribes? 12. Never let anybody tell you different. How many gates to the new city? 12. Remember, 12 was a special number to the Father. And so there's 12 gates, and Judah doesn't own every gate, neither does Ephraim. Let's go to 1 Kings 18 and 31.
All right, 1 Kings 18 and 31. "And Eliyahu took 12 stones, according to the numbers of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of Yahweh came, saying, Israel shall be their name."
So we know something's wrong when they're trying to split this thing up. I'm the only one, or we replace somebody. That's just not happening. Because the Father set this thing up, and not man, so man cannot change it. And we know that once it's written, cannot be changed or altered. There were 12 tribes. There are going to be 12 tribes in the end. We see it in Revelations chapter 21 and 12.
Revelations 21 and 12. And it had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates. And at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
So we have a very good pattern about these 12. There's many others, but we won't go there. So we know there are actually 12 tribes, not one, not two, not 10, but 12. They're scattered from one end of the earth to the other, but Yahweh knows where they are. He knows exactly where they're at, because in Matthew 24 and 29 through, I think it's 31, he said, and after the tribulation of those, he's going to do what? Send all four angels to gather us up, so they know exactly where we're at. And started 29.
Matthew 24, beginning in verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the power of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
See, so he knows where we're at. He knows exactly each one of us, because each one of us has a what? A different DNA. And so that's why I wrote the song. You can't change your DNA no matter what you try. And I want to show you something how powerful the Father is. Let's go to Revelations 20, start at verse 11 and through 14. We're going to see just how powerful he is. He's going to make the sea give up the dead. Well, some people have been in the sea a long, long time, but he knows exactly where they're at.
Revelations 20, beginning in verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heavens fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Yahweh, and the books were open, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
So we see how powerful he is. Remember, I don't know how many remember, but a few months back, a rich billionaire wanted to go down to Mariana Trench. What happened to that submarine? Do you think he knows where they're at? I guarantee he knows where they're at. So, and David said it this way. He said, if I take the wings of the wind, if I made my bed in hell, so he knows where we're at. All right, let's read Exodus 1 and 6.
All right, 1 and 6. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation.
And so the originals are gone off the scene, and now for it's a new generation to take over. And that's why we need to learn to teach our kids, train our kids, because they're going to be the next generation. Because they're the ones going to have to do it when we're gone on. So, and you want to leave the truth so they can keep sending the truth themselves to their kids and see, and that's why we teach them the truth so they can know the truth, because there's so much deception out there. Ephesians 4 and 14, and the greatest deception is in the house.
All right, Ephesians 4 and 14. That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive.
So that's one of the That's one of the keys in this journey, is leaving what we have for the next generation so it can keep passing it down. It's just like certain families pass down certain things. Some of it genetically, some of it's wealth, some of it's you fill in the blank, but they just keep passing it down. We want to keep passing the truth down. See, the truth is so important because when he comes back, if you ain't got, in fact, the scripture says in 2 Thessalonians 2:10, he says, I think it is, because you have not a love for the truth, what is he going to do? He says, I'm going to send them strong delusion. That's why you want the truth. I don't care if it hurts. Tell me the truth. Just give me the truth. I'll learn to deal with it. If I have to put it on the shelf and come back to it, that's okay. Just give me the truth. And so that's why we want to teach our kids the truth, because we need somebody to pass this on. All right, going further, Exodus 1:7 through 12.
And the children of Israel were fruitful, increased abundantly, and multiplied and grew exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt who did not know Joseph. And he said to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come and let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falls out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities of Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
So this is a picture for us. The more they afflict us, the more we're going to what? Multiply and grow. It's not about the condition. It's about the mission. That's what he told Joshua and them. I mean, that's what the Father told them. Be what? Be fruitful and multiply. And that's what we got to do. Not only physically, but spiritually also. We need to know the truth and be able to share it with others. This is the key in this journey, is being able to share the truth. When somebody comes to you and needs the truth, we need to be, like it says in 1 Peter 3:15, be ready to give an answer when they ask. We don't have to go knocking on doors. You didn't see Yahushua going knocking on everybody's door. I'm Moshiach. No, but when they asked, he had an answer for them. And that's what we need to work on. And we need to learn to be fruitful. We got to use what we have to get what we want. Stop worrying about the things you don't have and use what you do have. The Father always asked them, what do you have? He asked Moses, what do you have in your hand? And Elijah asked a little later, what do you have? So it's always about what we have and what we have not. That's the scripture in me. I think it's Corinthians. It's not according to what you have not, but according to what you have. See, so use what you have, and what you don't have, it's not yours anyway. So just use what you have. Whatever it is you have, use it. So we got a principle here. Whatever's left, that's where the blessing is. Look at Gideon. He had 30,000, but he took it down to 300 and he still won the battle. See, it's about what you have and not what you have not. So many people, the little widow, she didn't worry about, she didn't say, I only got 2 mites, I don't give mine. No, she gave it proudly. See, it's always about what you have and not according to what you have not. Did you find it?
2 Corinthians 8:12. For if there first be a willing mind, it is accepted according to that which a man has, and not according to what he does not.
So don't worry about what you don't have. Just use what you do have. He gave you everything we need to be fruitful and multiply wherever he put us. That's my goal. Wherever you put me, I'm gonna be fruitful and multiply. See, that's the mindset we should have. Be fruitful and multiply. All right, because if Yahweh be for us, who can be against us? Remember Jacob? Uncle Laban cheated him at least 10 times. But when he left, what did he have? He was very rich. Why? Because he produced in a strange land. He didn't worry about the situations and all these other things that he didn't have. He used what he had, and look what it brought him. So that's what we got to learn to use. Stop worrying about, oh, I don't have what this one has and what that one. So what? What do you have? Use it. All right. And so remember, no weapon that is formed against us shall prosper. So wherever he puts us, let's learn to do our best. Don't say, oh, I'm over here. Oh, I'm in the dungeon. Just think about Jeremiah. They threw him in the dungeon. He didn't start crying, oh, I'm in the dungeon. No, he just kept doing what's right. See, that's the key. Wherever we're at, look at the Hebrew boys. They were in the fiery furnace. They kept doing what's right. Look at Daniel. He was in the lion's den. Joseph, David, on and on. You see the pattern. Just do good wherever you're at. Have that mindset that I'm overcome the enemy by doing what I'm supposed to be doing. All right, moving on. 13, Exodus 1, 13, 14.
All right, Exodus 1, beginning in 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard labor in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of work in the field. All their work wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
So they was trying to kill them with punish, make them work so hard. But what did it actually do? It made them stronger. See, we got to use everything that's coming at us to do what? Make us stronger. You use it to make us stronger. I got a brand new song called Go Ahead and Strengthen My Resolve. Laugh at me when I fall, but I'm going to rise up after all. See, so this was their final solution to try to get rid of them, to try to make you work hard, but it actually turned out to their good because they became stronger. See, and here's a thing we need to remember. When the enemies make a mistake, don't help them out. They made a grave mistake trying to make things harder for them, but it actually made things better for them. So when things sometimes gets hard for us, guess what? We just took out the weight machine, and you get stronger the more weight you put on you, don't you? So why do we think this different when we become believers? We think, oh, I got all this. Oh, okay. He said he wouldn't do what? Put on you no more than you're what? Able to bear. So let's just use these opportunities that seem so hard to make us stronger. So you get on them weights, and I need to show them how to do the weights because they're kind of doing it wrong. They do one time and they think, oh, I'll move to the no. That's not how you do it. You do 10 or 15 reps. And once you can do 10 or 15 reps, then you move to the next one. And so, but the pattern is getting stronger. Whatever we do, let's say, I'm going to get stronger off of this. And so the enemy made a grave mistake by trying to make things harder for him, and it actually made him stronger. All right. 1:15.
And the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the other was Puah.
Keep reading.
And he said, when you do the office of midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon their birthing stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, she shall live. But the midwives feared Elohim and did not do that as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the male children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, why have you done this thing and saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as Egyptian women, for they are active and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them.
So they are strong because they made the taskmasters hard. It made them strong. So when the midwives got there, they didn't already had the baby. So we got to use everything that's coming at us to make us stronger. That's the whole idea, is to get stronger, not weaker. See, the Egyptians, they were laid back and had everything coming their way, and they were weaker. Where the Israelites, they made their life hard, and it made them stronger. What do you want to be, weaker or stronger? We want to get stronger. And that's the mindset we should have. We need to use pain to make us stronger. We need to use failure to make us stronger. Anything that's adverse to us, we need to use it to make us stronger. Because remember, he's only looking for what? Overcomers. And that's why things get in our way, to see, will you choose to overcome this, or will you let it overcome you? You have a choice. And so the midwives, they said, hey, these women, they already had the baby before we got there. They're fast. See, so they thought they had a solution for them, but it actually turned against them. So remember that. Let everything be something that we're thinking, I'm going to overcome this. What does the scripture say? I can do all things through what? Mashiach, which what? Strengthens me. Why is he strengthening us? To just lay back and, no, because we need something, we got to overcome. All right. Exodus 2:1.
All right, 2:1. And there was a man of the house of Levi who took to wife a daughter of Levi.
Keep reading.
And the woman conceived and bore a son. And when she saw that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to find out what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. And her maidens walked along by the riverside, and she saw the ark among the flags, and she sent her maid to fetch it.
All right, that's good. So now we see the birth of Moshe, and already we see there's trouble in it. They want to take out what Yahweh created to one day lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. But Yahweh's got a master plan. The enemy doesn't realize that Yahweh has a master plan, and he's working it to the T, and he's doing it in the enemy's camp. And so here's the birth of Moses, and Pharaoh said, if it's a man child, take it out. But the midwives kept the boys alive. And Moses' mother couldn't hide him after 3 months. So what did they do? They built a little ark and put him in the ark and put him on the Nile River. Now he's floating down the river. See, always remember, if Yahuwah be for us, who can be against us? Here's Moses. He's going down the Nile, just floating, but Yahweh's in control. So he made sure that Pharaoh's daughter saw Moses. So he's going to make a way where it seems to be no way. Moses' mama, I'm sure she thought, oh boy, I won't see him again, but she didn't realize what was to come next. Read Exodus 2:9.
Right, Exodus 2:9. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child and nurse it for me, and I'll give you some wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it.
So the story is Pharaoh's daughter, they got Moses out of the little ark, and Moses' older sister Miriam was watching, and she went and asked Pharaoh's daughter, do you want somebody to take care of it? And she said, yeah, go get one of the Hebrew women. And who did she get? His own mother. Do you see how the father does? But the key to this story is Moses' mother had to be willing to let Moses go. You see that? You see this principle? She had to be willing to let Moses go in order for things to turn back into her favor. Sometimes we got to put our hands up and let things go and leave it up to him in order to get it back into our favor. How many see that? And so she was paid to take care of her own child. That's amazing. Yeah, she can freely take care of him now. Nobody's gonna bother because it's sad. This is Pharaoh's daughter's uh, child, she says, but it's actually Miriam's Moses' mama that's taking care of him. That's awesome. When you think the enemy's got you, the Abba has a way to use the enemy. See, he's in the enemy's camp. He's using the enemy to raise this baby. If, as the scripture says, had they known Moses was going to be this, do you think they'd have let him? No. See, and that's why it's so important for us to get those hands up, because the Father knows what he's doing. It doesn't look like it, but he knows what he's doing. That's why they let Moses go down the Nile River, and he let Pharaoh's daughter see him. She took him, went and got his mama to raise him. Wow, amazing what the Father can do if we let go. But the mama had to let go and let Moses go down the Nile by himself. And so we find Moses where? He's hidden in the enemy's camp, growing up in Pharaoh's house. So sometimes we're going to be in the enemy's camp. Ma'am? Hidden in plain, that's the best place to hide, is in plain sight. And so Moses is in the enemy's camp because the Father has a master plan and he's working it to the T. And so Moses grows up and he says, I believe I'll go visit my brother. Well, how did he know he was a Hebrew? Not only circumcised, huh? His mother was raising him to tell him who he really was. That's why it's important. See, and that's what's wrong with America. They're trying to destroy history so you don't know who you are, where you came from. If you don't know your history, you'll allow to repeat the worst things again. And that's why we want to learn as much as we can so we don't make the same mistakes. So here's Moses. He's grown up now, and he says, I believe I'll go see my Hebrew brothers and see how they doing. And he goes down there, and there's this Egyptian striking one of the Hebrew brothers, and Moses does what? He kills him, standing up for his people. Sometimes we're gonna have to stand up for our, I call them estranged brothers, because they were really estranged. And so let's read that. Ezekiel is Exodus 2:11 through 14. Yeah.
All right, Exodus 2, beginning in verse 10. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became to her as a son. And she called his name Moshe, and she said, because I drew him out of the water. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he saw an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews were quarreling. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore do you smite your fellow? And he said, who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me just like you killed the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known.
What is the fastest drying substance? Gratitude. I don't care what you do for people, and you do one thing wrong, and guess what? They're gone over one thing. Where do you see that principle at? In the garden. All the things the Father gave them, but it was this one thing they rebelled on. One thing. They didn't have much gratitude, did they? And we see this thing happening over and over and over. People get mad at you and won't leave over one thing. I'm thinking, really? And so Moses went and killed the Egyptian, and then he went out and saw the brothers, Hebrew boys, fighting against each other, and he was wanting to separate them, and there they go. No gratitude. No gratitude. So that's why we always want to be grateful for where Yahweh's brought us from, so we know who we are when we get there. I used to saying, remember who you came from, remember where you come from, you know who you are when you get there. I was nothing when I started, and when I get there, I'm not going to be nothing except for what Yahweh has done for me and his son Yahushua. Some people think, oh, I'm a guru, and really, you were just an old sinner. So we need to be appreciative of what the Father has done for us. Look where he's brought us from. I should have been dead a couple of times, but the Father, he kept me alive. And look at me today. Wow, 71 years old. I didn't think I'd make it to 25 when I was growing up. I thought I'd be dead and gone because I was kind of nuts. So learn to have gratitude, especially kids, for your parents. Be grateful that you have good parents, because some people don't have good parents. They want to beat them and do all kind of evil and let the evil people do something to their kids. Be grateful you got good parents that are watching over you, taking care of you, because they want to see you grow up and shine. See, that's why they want to do. That's why the parents have to let you have something when they don't have that. When they don't have it, that's what parents do. They go out and work hard to make sure that the kids keep growing up, and to always be grateful for your parents, because they go through a lot of things just to make sure there's food on the table, clothes to wear, and keeping you warm and all of that. Always be grateful for that. See, what gets a lot of people in trouble, they start looking at other people. Don't do that. Always be grateful. When somebody helps you, always remember that and be grateful. But these brothers, they weren't grateful at all. They told Moses, well, you don't do this to us like you did the Egyptian. And Moses says, uh-oh, Pharaoh knows this. And what did he do? He ran. So sometimes we got to know when to run, when to walk. See? So there are some things we need to run from. There are other things we need to walk away from. And there's an old song, we got to know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, when to run. And Moses took off here, but it was in the Father's master plan, because I think he was 40 at this time. And so he wasn't at the place to be the leader, because why? Israel hadn't been in Egypt that long enough, because he's having after the fourth generation. See how this works? And so now Moses is down in Midian, away from he's away from his comfort of being in Pharaoh's daughter's son. He's away from the other Hebrew people. And so, but he learned to be content even in Midian. See, we got to learn to be content. Sometimes we're away from our calling, but we got to learn to be content. Moses did just what he was supposed to do. He was a shepherd. Guess what he did? He took care of what's his name? What's the horse daddy's name? Jethro. And so he did what he was supposed to be doing. See, we always do good, no matter where we're at. That's the mindset we have to be. He's away from where he was around the throne. Now he's down here in the lowest place, being a shepherd, but he's still doing what? Good. So wherever we go, whatever we call upon to do, let's always do good. Because guess what? If Yahweh will be for us, who can be against us? And so he stayed there, and Jethro gave him Zipporah, his daughter, to wife. And Moses had a son named Gershon, and that was his first son. He had two sons, but he had one named Gershon, stranger in a strange land. And now let's read 2:24 through 25.
And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham and with Isaac and with Jacob. And Elohim looked upon the children of Israel, and Elohim took cognizance of them.
So he's The father hears they've been groaning all this time. And he says, all right, it's time to go back. See, the father's got his eyes upon us. Where's that scripture? First, is it First Chronicles 16:9? Where it says the eyes of Yahweh run what? To and fro in the whole earth. He's got his eyes on you and me. And he's watching. Was that right?
Second Chronicles 16:9.
Second Chronicles.
And it says, and the eyes of Yahweh run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. Herein you have done foolishly. Therefore, from henceforth you shall have wars.
So his eyes are always on us, seeing what's going on. So we think he don't know. You better believe he knows. He knows it all. Because in Hebrews 4:12-13, the word of Yahweh is quick and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, dividing asunder between soul and spirit, the marrow and the bones, the discerner of the thoughts and the intents of the heart. And it also says night and day is what? The same to him. All things are open to whom we have to do. So I don't know how many seem person of interest, or they got all this information, but just think what the Father has. He knows it all, every incident. He has it written in books. And then one day the books are going to be open. Wow. So he heard the groaning of his people. And now it's getting time for Moses to go back. And Moses is a shepherd, the lowest place in Israel. Remember, don't be afraid of the low place. Low is the way to high places. So if you're in a low place, that's okay. He knows you there. He's seen you. He's seen Moses, didn't he? He's way over here in Midian. I don't know how many days away from Egypt, but he's way over here in Midian. The Father sees him, just like he does me and you. He sees us wherever we're at. All we got to do is realize that he's got his eyes up on us. All we got to do is what? Keep his commandments. He said, if you love me, keep my commandments. And so Moses is a shepherd, the lowest place. He's on bottom, but guess what? He made it to the top. David was a shepherd. He made it to the top. Yahushua was a shepherd. He made it to the top. Jacob was a shepherd. He made it to the top. So being on the low place ain't too bad, is it? And then the next thing he does, Moses is in Midian, and he sees what? This burning bush. He says, how come that bush ain't consumed? Because when y'all seen when we lit that fire, the pile went down, didn't it? But this bush stayed looking like a bush. And Moses says, I believe I'll go see what's going on over here. Why this bush ain't being burned up? Chapter 3, 2-10. I'll just read a little bit of it.
And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. And when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see, Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not draw near here. Do not draw near here. Put off your shoes from off your feet, for the place whereon you stand is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzhak, and the Elohim of Yaakov. And Moses hid his face, and he was afraid to look upon Elohim. And Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I'm come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land, into a good land with a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh, that you may bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
So the Father knows how to get our attention. It took a burning bush for Moses. How many burning bushes do we need? So he does things to get our attention. Sometimes people don't realize some things are just done to us just to get our attention. It's not to knock us down. It's just to get our attention so we can learn something important going on here. And the Father, he knew that this would get Moses' attention. Sometimes he puts a burning bush in our way, so to speak, something that gets our attention. It's just like a burning bush. It gets our attention. It draws us to see what's going on here. Why am I like this, or why am I like this? Remember Rebecca? She says, why am I like this? All this fussing and fighting going on inside my womb. Well, that got her attention and caused her to go find out about it. And she found out, hey, I got two nations, twins, and they're going to be really different from each other. See, that got her attention. The Father wants our attention sometime, and he knows how to get it. How did he get Job's attention? Through dreams. He said, that scares me with what? Dreams. Sometimes he gets our attention in dreams. So if he wants you, he gonna get you. Don't worry about it. If he wants you, he gonna get you. Because we're not greater than he is. And sometimes he uses strange things to get our attention. Sometimes things that we're not comfortable with to get our attention, to get us to another place that we need to be. And so here was this burning bush. And I remember Brother Tommy had a good message on how many burning bushes do you need. And so sometimes he uses strange things to get our attention because time is at hand and he needed somebody to be ready to go to Egypt and to bring the people out. All right, 3:11 through 12.
And Moses said to Elohim, who am I that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, certainly I will be with you, and this shall be a token unto you, that I have sent you. When you have brought forth the people out of Egypt, you shall serve Elohim upon this mountain.
See, sometimes we wonder, why are we doing what we're doing? Because that's what Yahweh chose us to do. I remember when we started this way, I didn't want to do this, but there I was, called upon. One rabbi said, it's time for you to do this. And I says, okay, I'm doing it. Here I am, 20 years later, still doing it. And so the Father's got a master plan and he's working it to a T. And don't fret because you're not where you're at or where you think you want to be. Because he's going to get us to where he wants us to be. That's the main thing in this life. It's what he wants, not what I want. How many see that? Sometimes we want this, but he wants us to have that. Which one are we going to get? That. And then Moses says, they're going to ask me about the name. See how important that name is? Name is so important. Exodus 3:13 through, it started 13.
And Moses said unto Elohim, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the Elohim of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? And Elohim said to Moses, Ayah Asher Ayeh. And he said, thus shall you say to the children of Israel, I will be, has sent me unto you. And Elohim said moreover unto Moses, thus shall you say to the children of Israel, Yahweh, the Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim of Yaakov has sent me unto you. This is my name forever. This is my memorial unto all generations.
So he gave us a name and we're supposed to use it. Some people say, oh, it's too holy. It's unpronounceable, really. Why did he give it to us if it's unpronounceable? And so Proverbs 18:10 says the name of Yahweh is a what? Strong tower. The righteous running into and is safe. And Moses says they're going to ask me about the name. What does name mean? Nature, character, power, and authority. Where do we see them doing this again? Give you a big hint. What did they ask Yahushua? By what see, name means nature, character, authority. They was asking what name. Let's go to that Matthew 21, 23 through 27. They gonna ask the same question, but hey, what authority? In other words, what name? Who sent you? Whose name? That's why name is so important.
Matthew 21, beginning in verse 23. And when he was coming to the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to him as he was teaching and said, by what authority do you do these things? And who gave you this authority?
See, they asked him, well, what name are you teaching in? See, the same thing that the children of Israel were going to ask Moshe. And so name is so important. Let's go to Isaiah 52, start at verse 1. He says, my people shall what? Know my name. In order to know something, that word know means an intimate personal relationship. That means to handle it, to use it.
All right, Isaiah 52, beginning in verse 1. Awake and wake and put on your strength, O Zion. Put on beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall be no more coming to you the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake yourself from the dust. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose yourself from the bands of your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus says Yahweh, you have sold yourselves for nothing, and you shall be redeemed without money. For thus says the Master Yahweh, my people went down aforetime into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrian oppressed them without cause. Now, therefore, what I have here, says Yahweh, that my people is taken away for nothing. They that rule over them make them to howl, says Yahweh, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore, my people shall know my name. Therefore, they shall know it in the day that I am he that speaks. Behold, it is I.
See, we're supposed to know the name. In other words, have an intimate personal relationship with it. Know it, use it, and not try to hide it. So many people want to hide the name. They hide it with Adonai and all these other titles. Even Elohim, that's still a title. That's not a name. So we got to know the difference between titles and names. There's a place to use Elohim, there's a place to use Adonai, but not as a name. See? Adonai means master. Yes, he's our master, but what is the master's name? See, we need to know that name, and we need to use it in the name, because there's power in the name. We have the greatest name in heaven and earth. Look what they gave to Yahushua in Philippians 2 and 8 through 11.
Philippians 2, beginning in verse 8. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the stake. Wherefore Yahweh has also highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Yahushua every knee should bow, of things in heaven, things in earth, and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahushua the Messiah is master, to the glory of Yahweh the Father.
See how powerful a name is? Name is so important in this journey. Name means nature, character, power, and authority. I could give you some names. If I said the name of Abraham, you would see Abraham. He loved Yahweh, and he's always sociable. But if I gave you the name of Ahab, you think, wow, he's a crazy king. And on the story goes. If I said Nabal and his wife Abigail, as his name is, so is he. And that's bad to have that name. Nabal means what? Fool. And that's what he was. So really, that's why we have to be careful what we name our children. Name is so important in this journey. All right, Exodus 3:17.
All right, 3:17. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites unto a land flowing with milk and honey.
Uh-oh, that's that thought we had today, milk and honey. See, even the Father uses it, so honey's all right. If he uses it, it's all right. But he said, I'm going to give you a portion of the land of Ham. The Canaanites were Hamites. And so originally it was supposed to be from the Nile to Euphrates, which was approximately 1,200 miles. But when the Father comes down, when the new city comes down, it's going to be even greater than that. It's going to be about 1,500 miles wide, 1,500 miles wide, 1,500 miles long, 1,500 miles high. We're going to even get a little more than the Nile to the Euphrates. All right, now Moses is back, and he's time to go meet Pharaoh and tell him what? Let my people go. 18 to 20.
Chapter 3, beginning in verse 18. And they shall hearken to your voice, and you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt. And you shall say unto him, Yahweh Elohim of the Hebrews has met with us. And now pray, let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice unto Yahweh our Elohim. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go, but by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that, he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And it shall come to pass that when you go, you shall not go empty. But every woman shall demand of her neighbor, and of her that sojourns in her house, jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And you shall put them on your sons and upon your daughters, and you shall recover from the Egyptians.
Wow. See, Hebrews 6:10 says what? Yahweh is not unrighteous to forget a labor of love that we showed what? Toward his who? His name, not his title, not something else, but his name. That's why this name is so important that we use it. And also toward the Kiddushim and do show. See, he won't forget. And so he didn't forget about the children of Israel because they didn't get paid, did they? All those years, they never got paid. Sometimes we feel like that. I've been doing this all these years, never got paid. But guess what? The Father's looking, and he's got a setting point of time to pay us. And boy, did they get paid. Getting ahead of myself, but and then he told him, say, you're not going to go out empty-handed. So that goes to show you those people preaching we're supposed to be poor, they're not preaching the truth. Because we see too many patterns of rich people that serve Yahweh and served him righteously. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Joseph, David, even one of the prophets was rich. Which one was that? How do we know he was rich? I should say that. He was plowing with what? 12 yoke of oxen. Poor person doesn't do that, does he? That means somebody had some money back in those days. That was Elisha. So that's why we have to be biblically sound and not what somebody taught us. The thing of it is, we can't let things get in the way. What does the scripture say? First seek the kingdom of Yahweh and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Just don't put the things between him and us. That's the problem. So many people get blessed and they forget about Yahweh. They go their way. We've had so many people say, when I get blessed, I'm going to bless y'all. And we ain't seen them since. I'm pretty sure whoever y'all running that to, we're going to bless you. They ain't seen them since. But that's okay. Yahweh's not unrighteous to forget. And then Moses says, they're not going to believe me for no matter what I tell them. Sometimes, no matter what you do, people are not going to believe. It's just the way life is. Look at Yahushua. He not only told them, he demonstrated his power. Did they believe? The majority of them still didn't believe. So we're going to have to keep the mindset, I'm going to do what he wants me to do, whether they believe or not. See, how the scripture go, one plants, one waters, and Yahweh gives the increase. So we can't worry about who's going to bring forth what. We just got to do the planting and the watering. Because there are going to be some people, I don't care what you do, they're not going to believe. Just think. They seen a man who was in the grave 4 days, and Yahushua spoke a word and says, Lazarus, come forth. They seen that. And here he comes jumping with his grave clothes out. And they say, loose him and let him go free. Did they believe that? No. He opened the eyes of the blind. The scripture says no man ever opened the eyes of the blind. Did they believe that? No. So there are things, no matter what we do, people are just not going to believe. So expect that in this journey. Don't let it get you unbalanced. Just realize there's going to be people that don't believe. All right. Then Moses talks about his weakness and faults. Exodus 4:10.
All right, 4 and 10. And Moses said to Yahweh, but, O Yahweh, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore nor since you have spoken unto your servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue.
So what did the father tell him? Well, go get your brother Aaron and he'll speak for you. But read Acts 7 and 22.
All right, Acts 7 and 22. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was mighty in words and in deed.
But he told father he had a problem. But we see here he was mighty. All right. And then Moses does something or didn't do something he was supposed to do. He had a son and he was supposed to circumcise him, and he didn't circumcise him. See, the father doesn't care who you are. If you don't do his will, he's going to take you out. So that's what I tell people. It's either do it or die. Here's the main man, Moshe, the leader. Because he didn't circumcise his son, he was about to take him out. Let's read that 24 through 26. Exodus chapter 4.
All right, Exodus chapter 4, beginning in verse 24. And it came to pass by the way in the end that Yahweh met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet and said, surely a bloody husband you are to me. So he let him go and she said, a bloody husband you are because of the circumcision.
See, and that's why it's good to have a good wife. She can help us out when we fall down. See, that's what Eve was. The woman was created to be a what? A helpmate, not to lead, but to help. So the first helpmate done what? Helped him to rebel. See, so it's a good thing to have a good wife to help us when sometimes we miss the mark and we need help. Don't be afraid to take help when we're missing the mark. Okay. All right. And then Pharaoh says, they go to Pharaoh and they says, well, who is he? I don't know him. Well, he's going to find out. See, just like today, atheist says there is no El, but they're going to find out that there is one. And he's mighty. They're going to have to face him one. And here's the thing about the atheists. If there's no El, why are you working so hard to prove to me that there ain't one? If you don't believe it, just go on by yourself. Yeah, I don't need to know your business. Go on by yourself. All right. And then they decide to make it even tougher for the children of Israel. Sometimes, no matter what we do, it's just not enough. But remember, the harder they make it, the stronger we're going to get. Just like lifting those weights, the heavier those weights get, if we just keep at it, pretty soon we're going to have these big old muscles. All right, let's read Exodus 5:23.
All right, Exodus 5:23. For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all.
Let's go to Jeremiah 20:8-10.
Jeremiah 20, beginning in verse 8. For since I spoke, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of Yahweh was made a reproach unto me and a derision daily. Then I said, I will make no more mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Report, they said, and we will report it. All my familiars watched for my halting, saying, maybe he'll be enticed and we'll prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him.
See, when we speak in the name, there's going to be adversity. Some people are going to hate it, going to come against us, but that's all right. Keep on speaking, because that's where the power is. What Yahweh doing, he's separating those that love him from those that hate him. See, this is the key. Most religions, they'll sit there and listen to you talk until what? You use the name. And that's where the battle starts. Because their name, their deity is named something else, and this deity is named something else. But as long as you use the term, I'll just say it, G-O-D, they can all agree. But when you give G-O-D a name, that's where the battle starts. Because Muslims, they believe in a G-O-D. Most religions believe in a G-O-D. But it's when you give the G-O-D the name, that's where the battle starts. So that's why it's so important to speak the name, know the name, use the name. And don't let nobody tell you we ain't supposed to use the name. Because we just read it a while ago. And my people shall what? Know my name. That word know means an intimate personal relationship. That means I use it, I know it, I understand it, and I walk by it. Hands up. That's my Torah Parsha today. Abba, we love and appreciate you. Appreciate your son, Yahushua. Thank you for the leading and guidance of this Torah Parsha to show us that all hard things make us stronger, not weaker. Shem Yahushua. Amen.